Earthshift 2025 is about to hit critical mass. The summer solstice truly is a turning point, and a whole new Earth is being born. Old Earth truly is crashing. But let's make this video about you. What you can do to stay safe and empowered during this time where both the frequencies and the velocity of cosmic energy are increasing and affecting the Earth and affecting the cosmic field, and how you can seize these higher energies to cultivate higher spiritual states, as well as to ascend to the 5D or to multidimensional reality during the Earthshift 2025. So I've got everything that we need to move forward in my notes here, and I'll get to the psychic predictions, as well as some simple exercise and processes that you can do to be empowered and to ascend during this time of ascension. And like I said before, to stay safe and to upgrade, basically. So upgrade practices to upgrades. So that's what we're about. We're about spiritual awakening here on the Medium channel. But psychic predictions are important. And of course, everything is fluid. Timelines are always changing. And the more we raise our vibration individually, the more we feed the collective, and the more we can alter the timelines more to our favor, basically. But what I want to do is talk about the science and astrology too, as it's absolutely fascinating. And the more you understand these energies, the more you can take advantage of them, and the more you can be prepared for potential challenges. My training is in meteorology, so I know a thing or two about geology. Wasn't my major, but that and space weather is all part of my training. So this is really a lot of my predictions when it comes to like space weather, geology. This is combining science and intuition and weather also. I'll get visions, I'll get feelings, I'll get messages from spirit, but I'm also a scientist at heart. So it's good to combine both, right? So firstly, I'll drink some water. And I hope everybody's having a great day, and happy summer solstice or winter solstice if you're down under. But firstly, I told you that in the June's psychic forecast, solar storm activity will ramp up big time around the solstice. That again, based on intuition and science, and I'm going to explain the science. But so, fast forward. Today's June 16th, and I'm filming this video. On June 15th, there was an M-class flare. On this morning, there was another one, a high-end M-class. So it's looking like that prediction is more and more likely to come true. I'll put it that way. We don't know. Nothing written in stone, but it's more likely. And also, a very large coronal hole is rotating back into an Earth-facing direction in the southern hemisphere of the sun, but there is some equatorial interaction with that hole, which helps to beam an ionic stream to the Earth, which enhances the solar wind. So it makes the most out of whatever coronal mass ejections to create a solar storm on Earth, basically. So in other words, the solar storm potential is greatly increasing based on the science that's going on. And I have a feeling the strengthening sunspot group that's showing more magnetic resonance, more volatility, has an X-Claire flash in it, or a series of stronger M-class flares, something that would create a significant coronal mass ejection, which would again affect the Earth. And anyway, so the strengthening dynamics could produce a strong enough coronal mass ejection for a major solar storm event of a G4 or even a G5. Basically, G5 is the highest. That's extreme. And now, the other part of that is Jupiter's coming into a conjunction, and that has both scientific as well as astrological ramification. You see, Jupiter is the gas giant, and it's got the highest gravitational field. It's gas. There's a lot of plasma field with that. So when it comes to a position right behind the sun, it's actually enhancing the solar stream, if you could picture that. And that's going to make the most out of any solar flare activity that we get. And I'll explain the astrology of that in just a second. So this will only enhance energies inside the. Okay. And all the solar activities all it's going to do is enhance the already very active energies in the Earth. We're having higher than normal earthquake and volcanic activity throughout the whole planet, the Ring of Fire especially, but also, Italy and, other areas. So it's really the whole area. South America, that's the Ring of Fire also. So basically, add more solar energy, more magnetic energy, energize the earth fields even more. Anything that's teetering on the edge of like either erupting or slipping, is the case with the earthquake or thrusting. There's slip and thrust earthquakes. Basically, it's the thrust earthquakes, the mega thrusts, that produce the tsunamis, which is on the table also, unfortunately. But anyway, it's just nature. It's just the earth setting. It's just everything, again, trying to get back to that balance, basically. And so let me get to that point, because in nature, everything is always seeking its natural state of oneness. In other words, we're all one, and we're all of the void. But in order for the physical reality to exist, there has to be duality. Something's got to get the energetic state into a state of flux or a state of imbalance for there to be a physical reality. But the way nature's set up, that nature's always trying to go back to that state of perfect balance and oneness. And that drives everything in the weather, in the space weather, in the movement of planets, in the collective consciousness, in the fields, everything in the physical. Because imbalance of energies affect the planet. Imbalance, duality is created. So in nature, all forces are trying to bring things back into perfect balance again. So anyway, I think I'm on the next page. Yes. So in the solstice, there's maximum natural imbalance in every solstice, not just this one, because the sun's tilt or the earth facing side of the earth, the sun facing side of the earth, is at its maximum tilt, basically. And so the earth's more tilted, so that's an imbalance. Again, when it's in the equinox, the tilt is lateral. It's not earth directed, if that makes sense. Hopefully I'm making sense. But anyway, also that creates the most imbalance on the solar field, or the heating of the earth. The northern hemisphere is heating much more than the southern hemisphere. Again, that's creating imbalance. So this increases the tension on the balance on the planet in a lot of different areas, which increases energetic volatility, and which increases the effects of other energetic effects, like things like solar storms and solar activity, movement within the earth. So the tensions within the earth become more conducive for there to be a volcano, basically. But the interesting thing is that despite the heightened solar activity, the magnetism on the planet becomes less favorable for auroras, because it's most favorable around the equinoxes. So basically, the way the Earth's magnetic field is set up, it's a little bit harder for it to produce auroras when there's a plasma burst from the sun, like a coronal mass ejection that energizes the ionosphere, magnetic sphere. But it can still happen if all other factors are in play, like a significant plasma stream or a coronal mass ejection, high solar velocities, high solar winds, high density, and a negative magnetic tilt are some of the factors that, if those are all lined up, we can still get beautiful auroras even around this time. So astrology also shows that Jupiter coming into conjunction with the sun or solstice not only aids the solar wind, but adds a sense of expandedness to the collective for spiritual awakening. So that's happening right on the solstice, which is very important. The summer solstice means that the Earth is at one of its four points that's called the world axis. The two equinoxes and the other solstice are the other point. 0 degrees of the cardinal sign. So that's an important marker in the wheel of the year, so to speak, in the rotation of the year. So having Jupiter in that exact conjunction really enhances the new spiritual awakenings, or new potential for that and expansion. So remember, the increased stress around the solstice enhances these energetic fields. Also, Pluto will be rising to the east at the exact moment when the sun is at 0 degrees and 0 minutes of Cancer. Pluto will be, it'll actually be a degree or two below the horizon, but Pluto will be rising, so the sign Aquarius is rising because Pluto's in Aquarius, and that is also about spiritual awareness and assistant evolution. Also, Pluto will be opposing the moon to give a more destructive side of the evolutionary quality to Pluto, and the Aquarian ascendant on the solstice, and will also assist in clearing past blocks and shadow aspects, both on a personal and collective level, so that Pluto can destroy the old foundation of corruption and allow new consciousness to rise in its stead, basically. So that's just, another one of these things. I know I'm missing something, but I can't think of what it was. But I'm going to move on anyway. Mars will be opposing also to add more spice and energy to the planet. Mars will oppose a Saturn-Neptune conjunction, which can hit the structures, governments. It can increase aggression, which we're seeing, unfortunately, also. But all four of the outer planets are in harmonious aspects, and that supports the higher mind and spirit community. There's more, but in short, the clash between the higher and lower forces of nature, or the spiritual versus the demonic, if you like that, intensify and amplify. And the field of intensifies and amplifies the field for a generational, if not millennial, changes that we're experiencing on the planet. And this has all been prophesied by the greats, from everything from Nostradamus, Revelations, and on. So we're in it right now, and it's interesting to see what's going on with the movement of the stars and the numerology. There's definitely more, but I think you get the idea. So moving right along, so July will feature some big teardowns and changes. It's also a universal 16-month, which is the tower in the tarot, and in Chaldean numerology, the symbol is the shattered citadel. Reduces to 7 also, which is Neptunian, and it's about ascension too. But July will feature lots of teardowns, changes, war escalation, government shutdowns possible, fallen, dismissed, or resigning world leaders, big possibilities, big exposures of government, social, medical scandals, as well as financial collapses and resets, results from the increase of stress on the collective and on the planet. So also we can expect some surges in some of the seismic activity. And the thing that I wanted to mention before that I missed is that the solstice, this is the energetic point, right? But the effects on the earth, because the earth is dense, takes a while to manifest. So what we see, the energies on the solstice happening are likely to create changes on the earth. It'll be over the next, roughly 30 to maybe, 60 days or so. So expect to see things really ramping up, even more with things like earthquakes, volcanoes, and stuff like that. August, though, becomes more conducive to ceasefires and greater cooperation amongst nations, as it's ruled by the benevolent 17, which reduces to 8 in numerology, which supports the sign of Aquarius and more of community and higher mind and higher ideals. So that's going to be part of the collective field. So we may see big teardowns in July, and we start to see some positive changes in August. Now, it's not cut and dry. Things are going to blend and bleed into each other. These are just general trends that we're talking about. And on Thursday, so this is due to come out on Tuesday, I'm going to have a much more detailed summer psychic forecast where I'll pinpoint certain events, maybe dates or certain events and stuff like that. So this is an overview, but it's still a psychic forecast. And moving right along, more people than ever, I believe, are going to have spiritual awakenings in the month of August or right around that. You'll see greater cooperation amongst nations, hopefully, fingers crossed. And it's going to lead to a very powerful Sirius gateway portal, which actually begins in the end of July, around the 28th, when the star Sirius first becomes visible in the pre-dawn hours. It's a fixed star at about 14 degrees Cancer. So that's called the Sirius Gateway Portal, and that leads into the 8-8 Lions Gate Portal. So we're lots of upticks of like extraterrestrials, UFO activity, sky phenomena, stuff like that. Like I said, I'll have more of a detailed forecast later on. But what I explained earlier, combined with psychic visions, channel messages stuff, is why I believe there will be more earthquakes, volcanoes, and very impactful ones affecting the planet, and why I continue to see some escalations um, in the World War III, whatever we want to call it. Maybe we won't call it that. We'll call it a little skirmish that will be able to end. But whatever the case, we're likely to see these escalations, like in Iran, like I predicted prior that Iran would get involved and there'd be missiles across the water, which obviously was Israel. So that's another prediction that verified. So I think at least one, if not several, major earthquakes, that'd be 7.5 magnitude or higher, or at least had the impacts, like a shallow 7.0 earthquake with very firm bedrock can have the same damage as an average 7.5. But in major, that's what I'm trying to say, or volcanoes. So watch out for the Ring of Fire area, but everywhere is suspect. And again, I detailed things in my June forecast that are coming true, my May forecast of different areas that are more subject to these geological events that we're experiencing, and of course a lot of weather events, big winds, so big hurricanes, and maybe some early season hurricanes. And there's a reason why there's a very subtle yet very real spike very early in the hurricane season in the second half of June. Then it kind of drops slightly in July before the water's warm and it starts a seasonal increase. And again, that's that solstice imbalance feeding the systems, feeding the imbalances. So we see it on all levels, basically. So what else? What else? So watch out for things like watch out for the New Madrid fault. We did a whole video on that. Watch out around the coast of Oregon and Washington for the new Cascadia subduction zone. I forgot the name of I think the seamount. I forgot the name of it, but there's active underwater volcanoes. Also off the area of Japan, Southeast Asia. We focused Southeast Asia, and we just had a big earthquake event in Indonesia. So that's another thing that verified from past forecasts. So long duration power events are very possible. For several reasons. Solar storms can do it. Movement towards war, unfortunately, can do that. Weather-related events. List goes on. Intentional to drive. Things on the planet to drive society. That's a possibility also. Massive fires. So you get the idea. So what to do about it? We wanted really to make this video, or at least part of it, about how to prepare and how you can get your upgrade. Firstly, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. So on a basic physical level, have your supplies, extra money if you can. If not, do your best. Have lots of canned goods. They're cheap. Know what you'll do if you have a generator but you can't get gas. If there's a long-term power outage, you can't get gas because the gas pumps won't work after a while. So you want to be ready just in case. Prepare for the worst, hope for the best. And so stocking up and things like that. But also, this is a time that we really want to detoxify. Let's take advantage of that natural energetic solstice energy, that hot sun in the south and in the north. I mean, the southern hemisphere, it's the opposite. It's more like the inner sun shiny bright because you're in your dark season. Either way, I mean, any time of the year is a good time to detox, right? But it's important now because we have chemicals from things like microplastics and aerosol, airplane emissions, better known as chemtrails, and smoke from fires. Toxicity is very high on the planet. There's also a lot of parasitic infections that wreak havoc on the system. So I'm not going to go into detail. Another videos I do on how to do like parasite detoxes, like fasting, cleansing, drinking lots of water. But this is the time to really cleanse your body. We want to make our body strong. That's the temple of our soul. our bodies house our spirit in this very temporary matrix existence, this physical life that we're in. So we want to really get our bodies strong, get them clear, get them healthy, because these higher frequencies have to go through our physical beings. And if they're all clogged up and you're all out of shape and all that, it's not going to be fun. It actually hurts. And we want to do the same thing on an energetic level. So this is a good time. If there's any shadow work to still do, if there's any suppressed traumas, if you have any issues, this is the time to really double down on work on that, clear those issues, because you want your energy fields to not have blocks and cogs in it. When we have stuck suppressions, and that can happen on a grander scale, on a collective level, on an ancestral level, as well as a like a national level, basically a cultural level. That's the word that I'm looking for. So to do work to clear that, basically, it's important. So other things that you can do is work with breath. Breath is a great way to move energy through you. Do spiritual exercise like yoga, qigong, tai chi, anything that's going to get qi moving. So you want to clear your energetic fields. Breath work can do that. Intention can do that. Doing shadow integration and going out into nature and feeling the flows. We want to be elastic and fluid to energy. So if we have a lot of suppressed traumas, it creates stagnation, it manifests in disease, and it decreases our elasticity. We become all stiff, and then the energies don't work with us right. But if we are able to be channels of it, free channels, it's going to upgrade your system. It's going to awaken dormant DNA, and you're going to have amazing spiritual awakenings, and amazing gifts are going to surface with that. So what else? Flow, inhale, ground, go out into nature. That's where you feel the flows the best. That's where you can clear all the electromagnetic toxicity from computers and cell phones and stuff like that. Get out into nature, feel the flows of trees and wind, let it blow through you, let it flow through you. Just a few minutes in nature, like 5 or 10 minutes in nature, can clear your energetic fields for anything you might accumulate by being around Wi-Fi's and cell phones, stuff like that. So let me see what else. The intense times will pass. These energies will be hard for people, though, that are not doing the work. So it's really at its peak intensity now. I mean, the frequency will keep increasing, but we'll be more adapted, so it won't be so hard on our systems in the future. And the most important thing is work with the heart. This is the heart shift. It's the Earth shift 2025. It's heart shift 2025. Heart and Earth are a perfect lexigram. They have the exact same letters in a different order in English. So I do heart-brain coherence, and we'll actually, on one of the end screens, I'll leave a video on how to do that, and I'll get to the end screens in a second, but let me just briefly go over that first. First thing you do is you get relaxed. Meditate. You want to meditate. You want to get present. All this other stuff is going to work through doing presence. You want to spend time every day to meditate just on the breath and just feeling everything, focusing on nothing. And then in your day-to-day life, when you catch yourself thinking, just go into breathing, feel like your spirit seeing through your human eyes and feeling through your human systems. Stay present that way for the time being, as a military helicopter flies right over the treetops as I'm filming, and that's going to help a lot also. So that actually distracted me for a second. Oh, another one's coming! Yay! But that's the first step. It's just developing presence. So when you think about it, just stop your thoughts and just be aware and just allow yourself as spirit to just see through you, feel through you, stay present until something takes you out of it. Practice this every day. Practice meditation every day. So then when you do heart-brain coherence, you get very present, get very grateful in the now. And then you hold those feelings of gratitude and compassion in the heart. Feel the heart and the brain blending, because they naturally will. If you do that, your vibration will naturally raise. And as you enhance the frequencies of the heart, it's going to enhance your magnetic field, which is going to shield you from the negative programming, as well as help protect you from electromagnetic frequencies, but it's also going to help you to take advantage of these natural frequencies for upgrade. And then you sync more with the earth, more with the Schumann resonance. That's kind of like the heart-brain coherence of the earth, so to speak, the earth-heart coherence or the earth coherence. So you can sync in more with that Schumann resonance, which, we're part of it and it's part of us. It's the low frequency pulse that runs through everything. And that's a lot to work with. So I'm going to flash over here the July psychic forecast for you. Over here, more details, and I encourage you to watch both of them. But this one is more detail on how to do heart-brain coherence. That's going to be your best friend during these earth changes, and augment that with heart breathing techniques and other techniques to enhance the frequency of the heart. And you're going to be just fine, and you're going to awaken to amazing things and new gifts and abilities as the earth changes. Love you.